Hello, and welcome to the recap of the last few days, the last few classes. Every once a week we do kind of a nice glom in the club to make it all packaged in a nice little bow. Whereas during the week, we stretch it out, we dive deep, we unpack, we really look at things. So here is your recap call. This week, we are talking about becoming your own coach, which we're going to boil into some nice, easy steps. But the good news is you can stop paying so much money all the time for tons of external help and start to help yourself from the inside out and stop the overwhelm, stop the invisible spinning thoughts. Well, actually, don't stop them. You know how to work with them and how to harness them and integrate them into you making more deliberate decisions with your thinking. So, cleaning your brain is the word that I'm using. Cleaning your brain at least once a day is one of the highest forms of self love you can give yourself. Just like you need sleep and rest at least once a day, just like your phone needs to be charged every day, just like you need to eat something nourishing every day. If you want to feel better, think better, realize your potential, sustain healthy boundaries, set effective expectations, love yourself, build better relationships, develop discipline with yourself, be able to give yourself a command and follow it, and fall in love with time and money and humans on a whole new level, then knowing how to clean out your own brain and actually making the time and the space to do that. Not just saying, now that I know how to, the concept is in there, I'll do it on the fly, but actually taking some time. Some people say, oh, I'm not a journaler. I used to be a journaler. Or I used to take walks in the park, or I used to bring whatever practice of being with yourself and intentionally cleaning out your brain. Now, if you can't do it every day, that's okay. Do it every week. But if it's so mission critical, why didn't we start cleaning our brains and learning how to clean our brains and having clean your brain classes in school? Why don't we invite our friends over for some brain cleaning slumber parties, because we can see how amazing it makes our life become? Because most people, the answer is, most people don't even know they can clean out their brains. We haven't been taught to clean them. We haven't been modeled what a clean brain versus kind of a stinky brain looks like, and what actually the process looks like. And we definitely don't get to see in our media, in our governments, in our movies, and a lot of books, most of our business as usual systems opens up and becomes regular, just get it done so quickly. So we don't get to see what's possible for our lives, for actually realizing and living into our potential when you clean your brain. Because here's what's possible when you clean your brain. When you clean your brain, you can literally recreate your brain. That gets us into feeling better territory. It gets us into realizing our potential territory. And working with kids and adults for the last 2, almost 3 decades is one of the most precious things I've learned, is that your potential, you're not like born into this life with X amount of potential. Your potential is not fixed. And your potential is not based on your intelligence or your skills or your talent. And it certainly has nothing to do with your worthiness for love and being a human. Think of if you wanted to spend $10,000, which might be a huge number to you and it might not be that big of a deal to you. But think if you wanted to take $10,000 and throw a party for your friends and your family. Or you wanted to take $10,000 and take some of your friends and family on an amazing vacation. But you don't have $10,000 right in your pocket to just start making decisions. So you decide to save $100 once a week. Put it away, put it in a jar, put it in a bank, put it under the mattress. And after about 2 years, you'd have your $10,000 if you figured out how to save $100 a week. Tell me, my friends, which $100 would be the most valuable? Which one would have the most potential? Which one would have the most impact on your goal? Now, some of us in the chat were saying $100, the very beginning, it would be so symbolic. That would be the most impact. I'm starting on my goal. Some of you said the last $100, clearly, then it gets you to your $10,000 goal and you're off and running. Or maybe that's the most exciting one or the other. Would the $100 in the middle be any less worthy or hold any less potential of helping you towards your goal? Not even one bit. And once you had that $10,000 in your pocket, what is the potential of that $10,000? Your brain might want to say, well, it can only have as much potential as what it could buy. But I want you to think differently than that. I want you to think that its potential is to throw a party, is to take a vacation. You could change your mind and fix up your house. You could fix your teeth. You could help your friend with college. You could contribute to a cause you believe in. The potential of $10,000, the potential of $100 is unlimited. Even if you decided you wanted to do more and go to the next level, the potential of what the money could go towards as you built more, infinite, anything. So it is with you, my darlings. You and your potential, limitless. And here's the crazy thing, limitless right now, and even still limitless the day before you die. We are all going to always have unlimited, untapped potential that we didn't realize. And we can't make that mean something's wrong with us. Oh, I'm not really fully living my potential. I'm not fully living into it. Now, if you're not living into it at all, it's going to feel terrible, which is a great part of the human design, that there's something that will compel you to want to realize and align with and make decisions based on your potential. But the reason so many of us worry we can't do something, or we won't do something, or we just flat out don't do something, whatever it is we shift from looking at our potential as it's in the future, what we can do, what we still can learn, what we can still become, as it exists out in the future, as we do when we're kids. Everybody's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? As if we could say anything and they'll say, that sounds wonderful. There's a phase most of us go through where we could be like, I'm a ballerina, firefighter, doctor. And they're like, yes, you can do that. We're limitless in our potential when we have fluid intelligence and fluid interactions with the world, where everything's just yes and new. And instead we shift and accidentally start focusing on our past, solely on the past, and what skills we already have, what fails we've already endured, what things we already know how to do and what we don't. And that shift from drawing upon our future and allowing yourself to be fluid with your learning and changing, and instead crystallizing yourself. Now, it's wonderful to start crystallizing your knowledge and your intellectual property, writing books and becoming the expert at things. That's different. That's nuanced from what I'm talking about. But limiting yourself by crystallizing yourself on what did and didn't work and what you know to be true and not true based on the past, that diminishes your potential. It's so easy and so fast to do. And I'm not saying don't learn from the past. I'm not saying repeat the past because you're like, I don't know, maybe it'll happen different this time. It's nuanced. I'm not saying look at the past and just start thinking of it with rainbows and daisy thoughts and then it'll all be better. I'm saying do not consider what's possible for you, what your potential is, by only looking at your past capacity, your past potential that you did or didn't realize. Look at your ability to grow your capacity and expand into your potential from the future. Because right now, the moment you're living right now, whether you're driving a car, sitting on the beach, or frustrated with the kids in the kitchen, right now and every right now that you're going to be in the future, you have the potential to learn so much, to contribute so much, to create something, to expand something. Now, that doesn't mean you'll just do it. And that's okay. Some of us, and sometimes in our life, it's not about expansion. And some of us don't want to do that. You realizing your potential, though, Whether you decide to take a pause or go full on has nothing to do with whether you're worthy or going to live a good life, which is kind of crazy. We think if we're not realizing our full potential, then we're going to be miserable. There might be some angst of like, I don't think a human being doesn't ever have desire, given that we have all of our medical ducks in a row, our psychological ducks in a row. I'm talking about a brain that's functioning fairly on a regular basis. And here's why it's important to realize that your potential has nothing to do with your worthiness. As a brilliant, messy creative, you're never going to realize all your potential. You're going to die with your limitless potential still left in you. So you can uncouple your worth from whether you have your shit together in a moment and you're currently being a potential realizing machine, okay? This whole week, what we talked about and what we're going to let it all come together right now is one of the most powerful things you can do to live into that potential and possibility. But you're never allowed to use this, my darlings, against yourself, okay? Never, ever. If you're using something against yourself, let it go. Put it down. If it makes you feel like dog poop, walk away. Get a glass of water. Stop thinking that thought. Cleaning and recreating your brain, though, is one of the most direct paths to finding out what you're capable of and what your potential is. Getting close to that limitless potential and making decisions from there. Can you even imagine thinking the thought on repeat daily? Oh my gosh, I just did that. I didn't think I could, and I did it. And surprising yourself on a daily basis. That gets fun. It's not like you then go, I don't know how to do this. I suck at this. That hurts us because we think we're always going to suck. We have this fixed mindset versus this growing, expanding mindset of, well, let's see what I can do next. I'm going to suck at it first. And then if I just keep doing it, I'll surprise myself, or I might surprise myself at least 50% of the time. That's empowering. That's fun. That's what allows you to then contribute to your families and your communities. Now, the process of cleaning and recreating your brain can look very different for everyone. We have talked in the club a lot about how different teachers and different philosophies have brought it into life by describing what the truth is of human creation, or how human brains work. Some of them have even trademarked it and made a lot of money off of it. But they bring this work to humanity as a way of helping humanity. And the way I'm going to bring it to you as specific to brilliant, messy creatives who hold a lot and feel a lot and think a lot is just another way of looking at it and another way of cleaning and organizing your brain so that it doesn't just run amok and overwhelm you. But the most important thing to track is that there's really only 2 steps, no matter what approach you take and what we talk about. Number 1, be able and willing to look at your thoughts. Be able to look at them. I call it telling the raw story. Look at what's already in there without trying to look good or make it change, and not really realizing what the impact has been on your life and why your past looked the ways it looks. So many of us, as we realized in the club, we go, I had this negative thought, I had this negative feeling, and then I turned to the positive. It's okay to linger. It's okay to look, because that's going to give you so much insight as to why your potential was lived the way it was in your past. So you stop defining yourself like that. It'll be more like, oh, that makes so much sense. Then when the next time that thought is available and you notice unconsciously you going toward it, you'll have more ability to hold it. So to look at your thoughts. And then number 2, look at how your thoughts are affecting your life, the real impact of them. Now, you might have heard of processes from the Life Coach School and Brooke Castillo. You might have heard of cognitive behavioral therapy, the Stoicism or Stoic philosophy, Buddhist psychology, the work of Byron Katie. Joe Dispenza takes a quantum physical lens. Human design, which is very popular as of now, the recording of this, takes it through a spiritual lens. There's somatic and body-centered therapies and heart math therapies and trauma-informed models. James Clear, a very popular author, wrote a book called Atomic Habits that walks you through his version of this, or maybe something he picked up along the way. Nonviolent communication, or NVC, is another thing people really benefit from, moving through this brain cleaning process. It's nice to have a scaffolding for us humans to hold on to, especially if we tend towards entropy or mess or chaos. I'm going to walk you through the process we use in the club, very similar to all the other processes, but we have different ways of looking at it. And one of my coaches, Brooks, literally, I think she just trademarked her. She calls it the model because she wrote it on lined paper, and it really helped her organize her brain. And she helped many people organize their brains using it. And I think that's brilliant and ridiculous in this late stage capitalist day and age that we can trademark the way of the world and make money from it. Amazing. So we're going to do it for ourselves here, and then we'll put them into we'll look at some other models. Actually, let's start with our model here today. So let me share my screen with you and give you a little slideshow. Very quick rundown. Can you see my blue screen? I'm going to go with yes, you can. And I'm going to go with close down this. Perfect. Okay. So for us, I like to refer to it as an external spark. Something happens out there in the world. It's an external spark. It might be something like a dream that you had that's internal to your head, but it's something that happens. It's just an arising that happens whether you had any control over it or not. The first thing that happens is that you form an internal narrative, or you start telling a story and giving that external spark some sort of meaning in your life. You put it into context. You make it mean something about you, about your future, about someone you love, about someone you don't love. And once your story starts going about the external spark, your nervous system has a reaction or starts to move into specific states. You start to feel sensations on your body. Could be tightening, could be relaxing, could be tingling, could be dropping, could be cold, could be heavy, all kinds of things. Once the flow starts happening, you start taking actions. And the I here stands for either your actions are inspired or they're inhibited. So if your nervous system is contracted and in fear or in lockdown mode, you will see one set of actions. And when I say actions, it's what a camera would observe you doing, versus inspired actions that you might take if your nervous system feels safe and free and flowing. And your actions are what create your reality, which ripples out into your world, how you speak into your world, how you listen to people, what you see, how you react. That's kind of one way to look at it. Another way is a factual thing happens that everybody in the court of law in the world would agree that a neutral eye of a camera would pick up. A fact happens, something happens in the world, and you have a thought about it. You probably have many. That's why I like internal narrative or stories. But if we can grab one, maybe two really predominant, sticky, heavy thoughts, or the most meaningful thoughts, it's very helpful to see what we're making that mean. Then, whatever we are making it mean, our thought, we have an emotion. Emotions are coming from our thoughts. We are raised with sentences like, how did that thing that happened, that fact, how did that make you feel? But that's not, in fact, the case. 100% of the time, the fact could have happened before you even knew it happened. And it's not until you have a thought or an awareness that it happened, and then a thought about it, that gives your emotional rise the initiation that it needs. Once your emotions get involved, that's our fuel. Human beings' fuel is emotion. We think it's our logic, we think it's our thoughts, but it's because we want to feel a certain way or we want to stop feeling a certain way that we start getting into action. And that's what creates our reality or our results. And our results are always a reflection of our thoughts, not always of the actual circumstance or the fact. We kind of teased with going, take a deep breath and because you could say a moment in time happens and then you make it mean something, and that puts you in a mood, and then that makes you move in the world, get into movement in a certain way, and that has an impact, thus the air quotes or the actual quotes. The impact in your life comes from the moment you making meaning, you putting yourself in a mood, which sounds harsh to say you put yourself in that mood. But what I mean by that is your thought, your mental state created your mood, and then you got into motion and you got into movement. Cognitive behavioral therapy will say that there is an event that occurs, you think thoughts about it, that same thing that goes to an emotion leads to your behavior and your outcomes. Nonviolent communication, if you're someone who loves the NVC world, says you make an observation. They kind of really do let that fact and thought thing happen very simultaneous, because to us humans, it feels simultaneous. The thing happens and you have a thought about it. You make meaning. You have an observation that leads you to a feeling. Then you notice you have needs, usually to get away from that feeling or to make more of that feeling, to solve the feeling, which leads you to making requests in the world of yourself. A lot of times we request that the initial situation changes, which we can't do. We cannot change the circumstance. But the request is what gets us into connection with our own self, our own higher power, our own capabilities, our own awarenesses, or other people. And Brooke's model, she goes with CTFAR, making the C stand for circumstance. Thoughts, feelings, actions, results. So I liked a similar thing for us. I like things that are very easy to remember. So I would recommend, I've lost the slide, but we went with fact, F, and then the word tear, T-E-A-R. Fact, T-E-A-R. F-T-E-A-R is the fact, the thought, the emotion, your inspired action or your inhibited actions, and your results. So let's pause there on the slideshow part and make sure that that doesn't interrupt us later. So you might be having questions. You might be seeing this for the first time. All of that's okay. If you're serious about changing your life for the better though, being your own coach and finding a model, finding a flow that you can start to clean your brain and work through these things is not a luxury, my friends. It's a necessity. If you want better relationships, whether that's romance, friendships with your kids, your sisters, your brothers, if you want to build wealth and expand your business, create more things, be in connection with more people, enjoy your life, go on adventures. If you want to expand and live into that potential, improving your health, your fitness, whatever, you are with you all the time. So why not have the cleaning your brain process so that you can have your own back better than anyone? So looking courageously at your own thinking, telling the raw story. And I say telling the raw story takes courage because it means you allow yourself to look at what's maybe emotionally childlike coming up in you. Maybe a wounded part of yourself is trying to speak and whine and cry, whatever you might say, and it's not going to look very good. That's not the time we try to coach ourselves. That's not the time we try to make ourselves wrong or even believe ourselves. We're just listening for what the thoughts are that are in there. Writing them in a journal slows them down. I'm a big fan of that. Sometimes that is not available, but writing them down is a very good thing if you can do that once a day. See what's actually happening in there. Anything that helps to stop that invisible swirl of the thoughts and the feelings getting all mushed together. Anything that allows you to separate the what happened, the fact of what happened, the neutral, observable, tangible, irrefutable thing from the story and the meaning that you're giving it. Therapy is a great place to start this process and heal some of the wounds that are too touchy, too triggering to even touch, too big to face alone. And once you've done that, coaching can help you pick up where you have this little space and awareness, some ability to stay grounded and regulated while you're listening to the raw story. And when you can do that, telling the raw story allows you to see the looping thoughts, see the things that are feeling like facts. And while you start to look at them from a neutral standpoint, you don't judge yourself, you don't believe yourself, and you don't lose sight of the fact that you're listening for a purpose now. So step 1, tell the raw story. Step 2, look at the effects of some of those sentences that are looping. Grab the stickiest one and really follow that down. Stay with it for a minute. or 10? See the effects of that thought. How did that make you feel? What emotion does that generate? And when you're really feeling that emotion, fear, sadness, depression, isolation, abandonment, deflation, what actions do you take from an inspired place or an impaired place? What happens? No matter what approach of those bubbles or the models of philosophies that you take, seeing the effect, seeing how that all ripples out, especially of the repetitive looping thoughts, even if they're subtle, that's what I want to call cleaning your brain. It's looking, it's listening, it's understanding from a neutral place. Now, I also want to add a third step here, which is once you're able to do that, to ask better questions than the ones that are going to happen most knee-jerk. Like, how do I fix this? How do I get out of this? Why is this happening? What's wrong with me? It's so normal for us human beings to jump all the way to the opposite. If I'm thinking my husband must not respect me, to, oh, I know, my husband totally respects me. Everything's fine. That's not believable on a cellular level. It's not believable on a mental level. That was like gaslighting ourselves. Not necessary. But if you're thinking, I don't like this situation, and not being willing to jump to, okay, fine, I love this situation. If that worked, this world would look very different. We would just do it in a heartbeat. But because that's so tempting, because we're wired to get out of pain and discomfort as soon as possible, and we try to jump to the opposite, but we can't just flip on a dime. Then we get discouraged. We think, oh no. That's when the unhelpful questions come up, like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I figure this out? Are we ever going to be able to change this? We're just stuck on a loop. Shifting to asking a better question, especially those moments, questions that if you answered them would give you genuine insight, help you get some space from the issue, and bring you back into your personal power and get you breathing again and moving again and choosing again. We make 60,000 thoughts happen in an average human brain. So a brilliant, creative, slightly messy brain is going to have like 120,000. So slowing down once a day to grab even 2 or 3 of them is going to have an awesome ripple effect on all of them. The process then gets applied naturally to your whole life, but it does take time. It does take diligence. And the good news is you're just as worthy now, having not known the process, as you will be when you build the skill. You'll still have a yin-yang 50-50 life. You got problems now, you'll have problems then. There's no rush to the finish line. You don't cross the finish line and don't have problems. You'll just be able to be more deliberate about how you move through that 50-50 balance. You'll be able to keep your power and your peace of mind. Because, my friends, there is nothing worth giving up your peace of mind over. You lose that, you lose your personal power, you step away from your agency and your seat of power. What do you got? We did some examples throughout the week. And one of them was given to us. My Zoom shut down. And when we all came back on, when Zoom booted itself back up, because we were talking about this, we were able to see across the board that everyone's first thought, we were so aware of grabbing our thoughts and slowing things down. Every single person on the call said, my first thought was, it must be me. Same with me. I think it ended up being my internet that went down. And we were able to have a laugh about that because it wasn't giving our power up to say, it must be me. Because what we really meant was, it must be our internet. But it's so normal, especially for us as children, when we have something happen in the world that's not what we intended to happen. It's the knee-jerk, automatic autopilot to go, it must be me. Now, if we make that thought mean something's wrong with me, that's a different trajectory. You have different emotions about something's wrong with you than you do about it must be me, so let me get to fixing this. If I cause the problem, or if it's on my end, the solution's also within me or on my end. And after one of our calls this week, I got off the call and hopped onto another meeting. And in between the club call and my second meeting, looked at my phone, to which I saw a very sad, very dramatic One of my dear loved members of my family had fallen and broken ribs, broken spine muscle, or not muscles. What are you breaking your spine processes, and broke your back. I had thoughts in the space of the club and another meeting. And that text had come in a good 30, 40 minutes prior. So I didn't have any thoughts about the event that had happened the previous night until I saw the text. I was happily doing the club call. I was happily doing my life. I saw the text. Immediately the thought started. And by the time the next meeting started, I had so much brain space filled up with, this is terrible. This shouldn't have happened. I was blaming people. I was sad. I was mad. I was worried. I thought this is the end for this person. I also thought, wait, this person has healed very quickly in the past from falls. I don't actually know it's possible. Maybe this is going to actually set some things in motion that we've been trying to help with for a long time. So all of that happened within a matter of seconds. And the ability to clean my brain, jot down a couple thoughts and see, and have done this work prior to see, and you guys are doing this already too. So make no mistake, you already have expertise in this area. But emotional adulthood and personal power and effective responsibility comes down to one main thing. If the thoughts in your brain that are happening work for you, keep them. If the thought doesn't work for you, let it go. Stop thinking it. And in that transition meeting from club call to a meeting, I had to make a decision to stop thinking certain thoughts, or I knew what the impact, what the effect, and then what the result of my life was going to be. Now, what is a thought working for you really mean? That might be different for you and me. So let me tell you how I'm approaching working for you. Since thoughts are what generate the emotions inside of us, good ones and bad ones. When I say emotion, I want you to know I mean a physical set of sensations so tightly coupled with an emotional concept, like tingling or butterflies in your stomach, might be very quickly coupled with nervousness for you. As soon as you feel it, you think, I'm nervous. Or maybe those butterflies are coupled with falling in love. And as soon as you feel them, you think, oh my gosh, I'm totally interested in this person. Feel a little embarrassed. One of those that works well and moves you towards love potentially. One of the thoughts maybe moves you away and into a contraction state. So if a thought works, means it generates the sensations, the emotions that inspire you, support you, or even compel you to take actions that are inspired and aligned with what you say you want. Like if you want more ease in your life and a thought consistently generates anxiety for you, you might consider a different thought. It's going to feel at first like you can't because that thought is very true. That's where this process of really letting it all come out, working yourself through, well, what does this thought if I keep thinking it, what will it result in? What will be the impact in my life? And thought swapping, like we we're talking about, is easier said than done, and you don't want to jump too fast to it. First, you have to catch the dang thought that's running up there, stinking up your brain, telling the raw story, and notice the thoughts. So you can start moving yourself through a process of cleaning that thought up, cleaning your brain up, and then asking better questions. And I want to offer you this question. What is the upside to thinking that thought? What is the downside to thinking this thought? Might be pretty obvious right away. Another question is, instead of why am I like this? Why is my life like this? To think, why am I continuing to think this thought? How is it serving me? Is it just on automatic pilot? Why am I continuing to think this thought? And then we moved in this week to some serious implementation where we practice becoming your own coach together so that it moved out of fun insight and interesting theory into actually doing the work. So we guide you through that. We're going to be continuing that next week. I will also offer you some thoughts, which I forgot to give to the group today, that I love. And one of the thoughts that happens for me makes me fight so much less with life in general. When I'm really upset about something that already happened, especially, it pairs well. This thought that I'm going to give you pairs well with all major spiritual beliefs, works with all the creative arts. It definitely serves me in all my business pursuits. And it's especially handy when the sneaky, repetitive, automatic thought, this sucks, or any flavor of, I don't like this, I want to change reality comes up. The thought is, the world doesn't happen to me, the world happens for me. When I think what happened, happened, it must have been meant to happen that way. It's a little much of a stretch of like, I don't know, I got to get into spiritual beliefs there. But when I think the world doesn't happen to me, the world happens for me, my brain shifts into, how can I make this perfect? How can I integrate this? How can I move with this to serve me and those who I love? If that helps you, borrow it, take it, use it. It's yours. Modify it, integrate it. Do what you want with it. Don't like it? Don't think it. Here are a couple more thoughts that I saved somewhere for you. So just let these sink in. They're not to be swapped out until you clean your brain and see how much the thoughts that you are trying to change are affecting you. That is an important part of the process. But I just want to leave you with a little healing balm if you're noticing some of the thoughts that you're like, how am I going to solve this? To consider thoughts like, I honor the wisdom in my own pace. That might work for you, might not, might be so foreign. I create from truth, not pressure. I trust what flows, not what forces. Like, can you imagine if you decided to trust what flows for you more than when you're forcing something, to trust that more? I listen before I speak, and I love before I lead. I like little bumper sticker thoughts. I try to read them so that they're available to me. Now, you don't have to pick all of these, but to pick that your timing is always divine, or you're co-creating with something bigger than you. Maybe it's as simple as, I breathe in before I begin anything. I breathe in before I say words. Or I breathe out. Maybe the way for you to get to safety is, I soften into safety. Here's another one of my favorites. When the world speeds up, I slow down. And I am given that opportunity daily with politics and the world right now. When the world speeds up, I slow down. Some of you brought up, I am rooted, I am resourced, I am ready. And you got to watch saying, I trust the universe, or I trust God, or I trust something outside of me. If it's feeling like that's what you're saying, we don't want to become powerless just because we're co-creating with something. And we do need to allow for some trust and some surrender. That doesn't mean you're powerless. So there are some, my ideas are worthy even before they are finished. My art is how the universe moves through me. My music is how the universe speaks through me. This isn't about me. I follow curiosity, not perfection. I don't wait to be chosen. I am the permission I was seeking. These are thoughts that will become available to you as you see what the thoughts are and what they're doing in your life. So, discomfort does not always equal danger, my friends. Sometimes we have to turn in the direction of, to see how it's affecting our life and why our life is lived the way it was when we weren't aware of the effect it was having. You can move forward with this without rushing. You have plenty of time, and it's going to take time. And every single step that you take towards cleaning your brain, telling the story, getting support with this, expands what's possible for you. Every path, even the uncertain ones, all lead home, my friends. And we are all just here walking each other home. Bonus points for anyone who can tell me who was made famous or made that sentence famous. I love you all. Now let's have a little happy hour.